The air in the arena was thick with anticipation, buzzing with the murmurs of thousands of spectators who had gathered from across galaxies to witness the ultimate battle. The arena wasn't just a battlefield. It was a theater of fear, a monument to power, where the strongest warriors of countless worlds had fought and where most had fallen. Blood, sweat, and echoes of screams lingered in the massive stone corridors. Even the walls seemed to tremble with the weight of so many lives lost. And then the gates opened. A hush fell over the crowd. Not a cheer, not a gasp, just a heavy silence, the kind that precedes something extraordinary. A lone figure stepped forward. He was human. That alone caused confusion and disbelief to ripple through the spectators. Humans were considered weak, fragile, barely more than pets in the eyes of most interstellar civilizations. The other combatants sneered at him. Beings of enormous size, covered in scales, chitin, or thick fur, some with 4 or 6 arms, some towering over even the tallest human twice over, circled him. Weapons glinted in alien hands, blades that could slice through metal, energy rifles that burned the flesh with a single touch. And this human? He was unarmed, seemingly ordinary, with nothing but the faint glint of determination in his eyes. Another human. One of the spectators, a creature with translucent skin revealing pulsing veins beneath, hissed, "Do they even survive in these arenas?" The human's name was Ethan Cross, a cadet sent from Earth as part of a secret program no other civilization knew existed. Earth was considered primitive, nearly defenseless. That's what everyone thought, until now. Ethan's heart raced, but his face betrayed nothing. He walked with calm precision, his boots echoing on the stone floor. The arena's gates slammed shut behind him, a deep vibration that resonated through the entire structure. A sudden flare of lights revealed the true magnitude of the battleground. Jagged cliffs, pools of molten metal, spiked barricades, and hidden traps. Survival here wasn't just about strength. It was about cunning, speed, and strategy. The announcer's voice boomed across the arena, translated into every language of the crowd. "Welcome, warriors of the multiverse. Today, only one shall leave this arena alive." Laughter and roars erupted from the alien audience. They looked at Ethan as if he were a joke, a snack for the taking. But Ethan did not flinch. His mind ran at 100 thoughts per second. He analyzed every detail, the spacing of the platforms, the weak points in the barricades, the timing of the automated defense turrets. Every inch of the arena whispered its secrets to him. Then came the first wave. From hidden gates, the combatants charged. Massive alien predators with claws sharp as blades, serpentine creatures that could crush bones with a single coil, flying monsters that shot spikes like missiles. The crowd expected Ethan to be torn apart within seconds. But he didn't run. Ethan dove to the side, narrowly avoiding the first onslaught. He used the terrain to his advantage, sliding down a slope and letting the first attackers collide with one another. His movements were precise, almost unnatural. He wasn't just reacting. He was predicting, calculating, outsmarting. Every step, every dodge, every strike was designed to turn the odds in his favor. The arena gasped. For the first time, some of the spectators leaned forward in disbelief. This human, he wasn't like the stories. He was something else. One of the larger combatants, a 6-armed warrior covered in black chitin, lunged at him. Ethan grabbed a fallen metallic pipe, spinning it like a baton. He struck with perfect timing, hitting one arm after another, exploiting every weak joint, every exposed tendon. The alien fell with a loud, echoing crack. Silence, then a stunned cheer. But the fight was far from over. Ethan could hear the whispers now, rippling through the arena. He's human, but he moves like a predator. The next wave was faster, more coordinated. They were starting to understand that this human was not ordinary. Ethan's mind raced. Every movement, every instinct, every skill he had trained for was coming alive. He wasn't just fighting to survive. He was fighting to prove something bigger, that humans could never be underestimated. He ducked under a spinning blade, rolled past a fire trap, and vaulted over a collapsing platform. His body moved with a fluidity that made the spectators' jaws drop. They had never seen such combination of strategy, speed, and raw determination in a single being. Even the other competitors began to hesitate, unsure whether to strike or retreat. Ethan found a vantage point atop a jagged cliff in the center of the arena. From there, he could see all the hidden paths and the patterns of the enemy's attacks. He started setting traps, luring attackers into dead ends, making them fight each other, exploiting every mistake. Slowly, systematically, he began turning the arena into his own weapon. Time passed like seconds, though hours could have gone by. The initial chaos had turned into a deadly dance of intellect and survival. Aliens who once laughed at him now avoided him, whispering among themselves, "This human, he's different. Something we don't understand." Ethan's eyes scanned the horizon. He knew the real challenge hadn't even begun. The elite fighters, the champions of countless worlds, were yet to arrive. But for now, he had survived the first wave. And in the arena, survival was everything. As the sun, or whatever artificial star lit the arena, cast long shadows, Ethan stood tall, breathing steadily, muscles tense, yet completely in control. The crowd was electric with excitement. Some cheered, some roared in disbelief, but all were glued to the one fact: the human was no ordinary competitor. And this was just the beginning. The first wave of chaos had settled. The air was thick with smoke, dust, and the metallic tang of blood. The arena, vast and merciless, now bore the scars of the opening battles. Towers of shattered stone, collapsed barricades, and smoldering pits created a labyrinth of danger. Most spectators thought the human would have been crushed in the first few minutes. Yet here he stood, calm, composed, every muscle coiled like a spring, his eyes scanning the arena with sharp precision. Ethan Cross had survived, not by luck, not by raw strength alone, but by calculation, by intelligence, by instinct. The crowd was starting to murmur, and whispers spread like wildfire. He's human, and he's something else. But survival alone wasn't enough. The arena had more challenges waiting: the elite fighters, the champions of countless worlds, beings whose very presence had ended wars, shattered civilizations, and terrorized entire planets. And they were coming for him. The gates at the far end of the arena shook violently, steel grinding against stone. A hush fell over the spectators, so deep it felt like the air itself was holding its breath. From the shadows emerged towering figures, draped in exotic armor and wielding weapons that glowed with strange energy. Their eyes were cold, calculated, filled with centuries of experience and battle-hardened brutality. Ethan's first instinct was to analyze them, fast. One was massive, twice his height, muscles rippling beneath golden plates. Another had multiple limbs, each ending in lethal claws, moving with uncanny precision. A third wielded a whip-like energy weapon that crackled and hissed with a deadly hum. "Interesting," Ethan muttered under his breath, almost a whisper. "Let's see how you handle a human who doesn't know fear." The elite fighters advanced, and the arena erupted with anticipation. The spectators leaned forward, their alien forms vibrating with excitement. Some had traveled light years just to witness this moment. A human, facing the champions alone. The odds were astronomical, the expectations simple. Humans die first. But Ethan had other plans. As the first elite fighter lunged, Ethan pivoted, narrowly avoiding a crushing blow from the massive armored giant. He rolled, somersaulted, and used a fragment of a fallen barricade as a lever to propel himself behind the attacker. With lightning speed, he targeted weak joints in the armor, striking with precise blows that would have shattered bones if the being were smaller. The crowd gasped. Whispers spread. "Impossible! How does a human move like that?" The multi-limbed fighter circled him, claws slicing through the air, faster than any normal eye could track. Ethan's mind raced. He predicted the movement, calculating angles and timing, using the terrain to his advantage. Every dodge, every block, every counterattack wasn't instinct, it was strategy. The human was turning their own speed and aggression against them. The whip-wielding combatant struck next. The whip hissed like a living snake, leaving trails of searing energy in its wake. Ethan ducked, rolled, and caught the whip mid-swing with a fallen piece of metal, redirecting its path just enough to avoid lethal contact. Sparks flew. The arena shook with the intensity of the clash. Spectators began to cheer, some in disbelief, some in awe. Ethan realized something crucial. Brute force alone wouldn't win this fight. He had to exploit every weakness, anticipate every attack, and manipulate the battlefield. He started moving like a shadow, a ghost that no one could predict. He led the elite fighters into traps, spikes hidden beneath rubble, collapsing platforms, and pools of molten metal. Each step was calculated, each breath measured. Even so, the elite were relentless. They adapted quickly, their centuries of experience making them deadly opponents. One massive warrior smashed a wall behind Ethan, sending chunks of stone flying. Another attempted to flank him, claws aimed for his back. Ethan barely rolled in time, feeling the heat of claws grazing his shoulder. Pain flared, but he gritted his teeth. No one could see hesitation. Not now. As the battle continued, the arena itself seemed to come alive. Automated defense turrets activated, releasing streams of plasma and bullets, while mechanical traps shifted unpredictably. Ethan used every distraction to his advantage, luring enemies into danger while staying just beyond reach. Every elite fighter he incapacitated added to his legend. By now, whispers had become loud murmurs, and murmurs had grown into a collective roar. The human, he's not just surviving, he's dominating. The most dangerous elite fighter, the one with the whip, advanced slowly. You think this is skill? The being hissed, voice like grinding metal. You're just delaying the inevitable. Ethan didn't answer. Words were meaningless here. Survival, strategy, and power spoke louder than language. He waited for the right moment. The whip lashed out, faster than thought, aiming straight for his heart. Ethan sidestepped, planted a foot, and swung a makeshift metal rod, knocking the whip aside and sending the wielder tumbling into a molten pool trap. The crowd erupted in astonishment. The remaining elite fighters hesitated. For the first time, they saw the human not as prey, but as a threat. A calculated, fearless threat. And in that moment, Ethan realized something. Survival was no longer enough. To truly conquer this arena, he had to reveal the depths of his power. Powers they could not have imagined from a species so underestimated. He took a deep breath, muscles tensing, senses sharpening. Every pain, every scrape, every near miss had taught him, refined him, transformed him. He was no longer the human they thought they could dismiss. He was a storm, a force of nature, a miracle born from the very planet they had underestimated. And the arena was about to witness what no one thought possible. With one fluid motion, Ethan launched himself into the fray. Movements became a blur. Attacks were deflected, countered, and returned with precision. The elite fighters were forced onto the defensive, the hunters now becoming the hunted. Each strike he delivered was not just physical. It was a message, a warning. Never underestimate a human. The spectators were on the edge of their seats. Even rival combatants watched in awe. For every attack the human received, he returned tenfold. For every advantage the elite gained, Ethan had anticipated it and countered. The balance of power in the arena had shifted irrevocably. By the end of the day, or what felt like a day in the arena, the human had not just survived. He had dominated. He stood tall amidst the chaos, bloodied but unbroken, every eye on him, every whisper now a roar. This is human power. Truly a miracle. And for Ethan, the fight was only beginning. He had survived the first encounter with the elite. But the arena held more challenges, more secrets, and more deadly competitors. And the human who had been underestimated by everyone would soon prove that his true power was beyond comprehension. The arena seemed to breathe, as if alive, its corridors and battlegrounds shifting subtly under Ethan's feet. The early battle with the elite fighters had left scars everywhere. smoldering rubble, broken platforms, and pools of molten metal. But the arena had more to test him. Every corner was a potential trap. Every shadow hid a deadly surprise. And while the crowd was still in awe of his skills, they were hungry for more. Ethan moved cautiously, muscles taut, senses heightened. The roar of the spectators faded into a tense silence, a pause that made the hairs on his neck stand on end. He could hear the faint hum of energy beneath the floor panels and the distant clicks of mechanisms preparing to spring lethal surprises. This arena was designed to punish mistakes, and even a single misstep could mean death. Ahead, a narrow bridge spanned a chasm filled with swirling green liquid, glowing ominously. The bridge was old, its support chains rusted, and Ethan could see the signs of previous casualties, scorched marks, fragments of armor, bones partially submerged. He knew the bridge might collapse under too much weight or be rigged with energy traps. But there was no other path forward. He stepped lightly, one foot after another, his mind calculating balance, timing, and pressure points. Halfway across, a sudden jolt ran through the bridge. Energy surges raced along the chains, and panels of the bridge sparked violently. Ethan's heart pounded, but he adjusted instantly, leaning into the motion, moving with grace that seemed unnatural. He barely avoided a sudden electric discharge that erupted beneath him. One wrong step, and it would have been fatal. On the other side, a chamber opened up, the walls covered with ancient carvings and alien symbols. The air smelled of ozone and dust. Ethan's eyes scanned for traps. At first glance, it looked empty, but the arena had taught him better. He noticed tiny seams along the floor and subtle shifts in the carvings on the walls. Pressure plates, hidden turrets, retractable spikes, all waiting for the unwary. A deep rumble echoed through the chamber. From the shadows, massive, serpentine constructs slithered forward. Their scales shimmered with a metallic sheen, and their eyes glowed with a predatory light. These weren't just physical threats. They were engineered to sense fear, reacting faster if their prey hesitated. Ethan gritted his teeth. He didn't hesitate. He moved in precise arcs, luring one serpent into a trap where a panel of the floor collapsed, sending it into a pit below. Another he dodged, using a fallen pillar to spring over it, landing just behind its blind spot to strike a vulnerable joint. The construct were fast, relentless, but Ethan was faster. His mind danced with probabilities, calculating each move before the serpent could even react. Even as he fought, he noticed subtle signs that the arena itself was observing him. Panels shifted as if anticipating his path. Traps adjusted. This was more than physical combat. It was a test of intellect, intuition, and mental endurance. Ethan realized that surviving here required more than strength. It required a mind as sharp as a blade. Suddenly, a massive shadow fell over him. A flying predator, wings spanning the length of a large vehicle, dove from above. Ethan rolled to the side, narrowly avoiding the strike, and used the momentum to kick off a wall, propelling himself onto a ledge above. He had gained higher ground, and from this vantage point, he could see multiple traps aligned like a deadly puzzle. Ethan's heart pounded, but his focus never wavered. He could feel the adrenaline sharpening his senses. Every breath, every muscle movement, every flicker of light became a signal he could read. He was no longer just reacting. He was predicting, controlling the battlefield itself. The arena seemed to resist him, adjusting to his every tactic. Panels rose, spikes emerged, and automated turrets recalibrated. Ethan smiled grimly. Good. I like a challenge. He leapt from ledge to ledge, leading the flying predator directly into a cascade of collapsing columns. The creature shrieked in frustration as it was buried beneath rubble. But the arena wasn't done. A deep vibration shook the ground as massive stone doors at the far end of the chamber slammed open. From within, an array of elite mechanical constructs emerged, machines designed purely for killing, with precision targeting, adaptive algorithms, and weapons that could obliterate metal in seconds. This was the next trial, a gauntlet of technology versus human instinct. Ethan assessed the threat quickly. There were at least a dozen of the machines spread across the chamber, their sensors glowing, scanning for heat signatures, movement, and sounds. He realized a frontal assault would be suicidal. Instead, he looked for weak points, environmental advantages. He noticed a cluster of hanging chains overhead and a series of unstable columns near the walls. With careful timing, he triggered a column to collapse near one of the machines, jamming its mobility. Another chain he used to swing himself across the chamber, avoiding fire from the machine's plasma guns. The human audience would have gasped at his speed. The alien spectators were shouting in disbelief. How could a single human, seemingly frail compared to these mechanical titans, move and think so quickly? It defied logic, many muttered. Ethan's mind never paused. One machine adapted to his movement, turning to fire a concentrated plasma beam. Ethan dove, rolling into the shadow of a collapsed wall. Sparks flew as the beam struck metal inches from his face. He grabbed a loose metallic rod and used it to hit a control panel, causing a feedback surge. One machine exploded violently, sending debris scattering. Another fell into a pit trap he had identified earlier, proving that foresight was as lethal as strength. Hours seemed to pass in moments. The arena was a blur of motion, danger, and calculation. Ethan's body was pushed to its limits, every muscle burning, every nerve screaming. Yet he felt exhilarated. This was not just survival. It was proving that humans were not to be underestimated. Finally, the chamber fell silent. The remaining machines were destroyed or disabled. The flying predator lay unconscious. The serpentine constructs had been trapped or eliminated. And Ethan? He stood in the center, chest heaving, clothes torn, bloodied but unbroken. He looked out at the arena walls, seeing the spectators' eyes fixed on him with a mixture of awe, fear, and disbelief. He realized something profound. This arena tested more than physical ability. It tested intellect, courage, and resilience. And by every measure, he had passed. But deep within, Ethan knew this was only the beginning. The arena held secrets yet unrevealed, champions he had not yet faced, traps far deadlier than these, and forces that could challenge even his extraordinary skills. He took a slow breath, steadying his racing heart. Every scar, every injury, every narrow escape had honed him, sharpened him. And soon, the rest of the arena would know. The human who had been underestimated by everyone was not just surviving. He was rewriting the rules of this deadly game. And the true miracle, the power that no one had yet glimpsed, was still hidden, waiting for the perfect moment to be unleashed. The arena had quieted, but it wasn't peace, it was anticipation. Every spectator, every combatant, even the mechanical eyes hidden in the shadows, seemed to hold their breath. Ethan stood at the center of the battlefield, battered but alive, his mind sharp and calculating. The first waves had been a test. Now, the real trial was beginning. From the deepest gates of the arena, a low rumble emerged, vibrating through the stone floors and echoing off the walls. The air grew thick with tension. Then, one by one, they appeared, champions from the deadliest worlds, beings who had never been defeated, their reputations spreading fear across galaxies. The tallest among them was a towering figure draped in blackened armor, etched with alien symbols that glowed faintly. Its eyes burned like molten metal. Beside it were three others: a multi-limbed predator with retractable claws, a serpent-like warrior whose movements were liquid and deadly, and a being that radiated psychic energy, capable of controlling minds or shattering the weak-willed. A hush fell over the arena. Even the previous elite fighters who had survived the first wave stopped and watched. This was the moment when legends were born, or crushed. Ethan's eyes narrowed. He had expected this. Every inch of the arena, every challenge so far, had been preparing him for this moment. His heart still raced, but his breathing was steady. He wasn't just a human. He was humanity's answer to the arrogance of the universe. The black-armored champion stepped forward, its voice resonating like a bass drum. Human, you have survived by luck and cunning. But luck has limits. Cunning only carries you so far. Now, faced the true power of the arena. Without warning, the psychic champion projected a wave of energy. It rippled through the arena like liquid fire, aiming to disorient Ethan, to freeze his mind. Many humans would have faltered, succumbed to panic, or been paralyzed by fear. But Ethan's training was unparalleled. He closed his eyes for a fraction of a second, felt the wave's rhythm, and sidestepped in perfect timing, letting the energy ripple past him harmlessly. The serpent-like champion struck with lightning speed. Ethan ducked, rolled, and used the environment to his advantage. A fallen column became a lever, propelling him behind his attacker. With precise strikes, he disabled one of its limbs, making it stumble. The crowd erupted. For the first time, even the most skeptical spectators whispered in awe, "The human, he's not just surviving, he's dominating." The black-armored champion advanced with brutal force. Each step shook the arena. Ethan dodged, jumped, and countered with strikes that exploited subtle weaknesses in the armor. Sparks flew, metal screeched, and the sound of blows echoed across the battlefield. But this was more than a physical fight. The psychic champion unleashed waves of mind energy, trying to manipulate Ethan's perception, distort reality, and induce hallucinations. Suddenly, the arena shifted. Walls seemed to close in, shadows became threats, and phantom attacks rained down from every direction. Most beings would have screamed, disoriented and paralyzed. Ethan's eyes darted rapidly, analyzing each distortion. He closed his eyes for a second, feeling the flow of reality, separating illusion from truth. With a single leap, he struck the psychic champion's core, disrupting the mental assault. The creature staggered, clearly shocked that a human had countered its psychic power. The multi-limbed predator lunged next, claws extended in a deadly arc. Ethan spun, using momentum and physics to redirect one of the arms against the predator itself. With a calculated kick, he sent it sprawling into a pit trap he had already identified. Even as he fought, Ethan realized the psychological game being played against him. The arena was watching, testing, adapting. Every opponent, every trap, every challenge was designed to break the mind as well as the body. But Ethan's resilience was extraordinary. Pain, fear, fatigue. He felt them all, but he refused to let them control him. Then came the black-armored champion again. This time, it fought with strategy, anticipating Ethan's every move. Each clash shook the arena. Sparks flew as metal met metal. Blow after blow, Ethan felt his energy waning, muscles screaming in protest. The champion's strikes were relentless, precise, and calculated. But Ethan had one advantage no one had predicted: the human spirit. He remembered the faces of those who had doubted him, the sneers of the alien crowd, the stories of Earth's weakness. That fire, that determination surged through him. He shifted his focus, relying not just on technique, but on instinct, intuition, and sheer willpower. He ducked under a swing, rolled across the arena floor, and with a sudden burst of speed, struck the champion's weak joint. Metal cracked. The champion staggered. For the first time, it hesitated. The crowd was on its feet. Spectators from countless worlds gasped and cheered. The human, so small, so underestimated, was not only surviving. He was holding his ground against the greatest champions of the arena. Ethan felt the adrenaline sharpen every sense. His vision focused, hearing tuned to the slightest movements, reflexes honed to perfection. He was ready to reveal the full extent of what humans were capable of, something the universe had never seen. A thought ran through his mind. Let them underestimate me. Let them think they know humans. Soon, they will witness the miracle they never believed possible. The black-armored champion roared, and the psychic wave intensified, but Ethan stood firm. Every fiber of his being coiled like a spring. This wasn't just a fight for survival. This was a declaration. This was proof that humans were not weak. And in the distance, as the arena held its collective breath, Ethan prepared to unleash the power that would shock every being in attendance. The true miracle, the power hidden in humanity, refined by struggle, intelligence, and indomitable will, was about to be revealed. The arena trembled with anticipation. Every spectator, every competitor, every hidden eye of the arena surveillance systems was watching Ethan cross. His body bore scars from battle, his clothes were torn, and sweat dripped from his brow. But his eyes burned with unyielding focus. The champions had assumed that he was merely surviving through luck, agility, or clever tricks. They had no idea what was coming. Ethan's mind raced. Every movement of his enemies, every subtle shift in the environment, every trap and strategy they deployed had been logged and analyzed in seconds. He had learned their patterns, predicted their attacks, and calculated the weaknesses in both their bodies and minds. But survival was no longer enough. It was time to strike, to show the universe that humanity was capable of the impossible. He stepped forward, feet firmly planted, and drew the attention of all remaining champions. The black-armored giant raised its weapon, a massive blade glowing with energy. The psychic champion began radiating a mental field, warping perception and attacking the mind. The multi-limbed predator crouched, ready to strike. And then Ethan moved. At first, his speed seemed ordinary, but in the next heartbeat, it became impossible to track. The black-armored champion swung its massive weapon, but Ethan was already behind it, delivering a strike so precise that it bent the armor at a joint the creature hadn't even realized was weak. Sparks flew. Metal screeched. The giant staggered. The psychic champion tried to overwhelm him with a mental assault, waves of energy distorting the arena itself. Ethan didn't flinch. He centered himself, breathing steadily, feeling the flow of the arena, the subtle shifts in reality, the rhythm of the attacks. Then, with a single motion, he countered, not with brute strength, but with a combination of timing, leverage, and precision strikes. The psychic force recoiled against the champion, leaving it disoriented. The multi-limbed predator struck next, faster than any human could react, or so the crowd thought. But Ethan had already predicted its attack. He rolled, pivoted, and launched into the air, using the environment to his advantage. Collapsing pillars, jagged rocks, and leftover debris became weapons in his hands. Within moments, the predator was disabled, claws shattered and sprawled across the arena floor. For the first time, the spectators realized the truth. This was not just survival. This was domination. The human, thought fragile and weak, moved like a storm, a force the champions could not comprehend. But Ethan wasn't done. He felt the adrenaline, the pressure, and the focus sharpening every sense. His perception of time seemed to slow. His reactions became instantaneous. Every strike he delivered was a precise calculation of force, leverage, and target, exploiting weaknesses in ways no alien could anticipate. The black-armored champion roared, swinging its massive blade in wide arcs. Ethan dodged, countered, and struck the joints in the armor, bending metal as if it were paper. Sparks and smoke filled the air. The psychic champion attempted another assault, but Ethan's movements disrupted its concentration, breaking the mental hold. The arena erupted into chaos. Spectators screamed, shouted, and gasped. Aliens who had seen wars and annihilation stared in disbelief. Never had a single human accomplished such feats. Never had someone moved with such lethal intelligence and flawless precision. And then, Ethan revealed the final element of his power, ingenuity. Every weapon, every piece of debris, every environmental hazard became an extension of his body. He redirected energy blasts into traps, used molten pools to incapacitate enemies, and manipulated the battlefield itself. He was no longer a participant in the arena. He was the arena's master. The champions, the elite fighters, and the mechanical constructs were overwhelmed. Each move they attempted was countered, each attack anticipated, each strategy turned against them. Within moments, the battlefield had shifted entirely. The hunters had become the hunted. Ethan's eyes scanned the arena, seeing opportunity after opportunity. With precise timing, he incapacitated the black-armored champion, shattered the psychic attacker's concentration, and destroyed the remaining constructs. The once feared champions were now scattered, disoriented, or incapacitated, leaving Ethan standing in the center, unbroken and triumphant. The crowd went silent for a heartbeat, then erupted. Alien and human alike shouted, cheered, and gasped in unison. The impossible had happened. A human, thought weak, underestimated, and fragile, had survived, conquered, and dominated the deadliest arena in the galaxy. Ethan lowered his gaze, breathing heavily but steady. His body bore the marks of battle, yet he stood taller than ever. Every scar, every strike taken, every trap survived was proof of human resilience, ingenuity, and determination. The arena itself had been transformed by his presence, a testament to what one human could accomplish. Whispers ran through the stands. The human, the miracle, he is beyond comprehension. Ethan didn't celebrate. He knew this was only the beginning. The arena still had secrets. Other challenges awaited. Hidden threats, even deadlier than those he had faced. But for now, he had proven the truth. Humans were not to be underestimated. Humanity's strength was more than physical. It was intelligence, resilience, an indomitable will to survive against all odds. As he looked out across the battlefield, Ethan knew one thing. The universe had just witnessed the first chapter of the human miracle. And when the true trials began, no one, not alien, champion, or machine, would be ready for the power hidden in humanity. The arena roared around him, not in victory, but in acknowledgement. Ethan Cross had stepped in a legend. The arena had changed since Ethan first entered. Scorched earth, shattered platforms, and the remnants of defeated champions told the story of his unprecedented triumphs. But the crowd, far from satisfied, leaned forward in anticipation. For them, the true spectacle had yet to begin. From the deepest, shadowed gates of the arena, a tremor ran through the stone floors. Ethan's senses sharpened. He had survived the first waves, outsmarted elite fighters, and revealed a glimpse of human ingenuity and power. But the arena was not done. The ultimate challenge was approaching, being so feared, so deadly, that entire worlds had fallen at their hands. The gates creaked open slowly, revealing silhouettes that towered over the previous champions. The first was a colossal creature, its body encased in layered scales thicker than the hull of a starship, eyes glowing with ancient intelligence. Beside it floated a being radiating pure psychic energy, capable of turning thoughts into reality, bending perception and manipulating the minds of even the strongest warriors. A third figure emerged, part machine, part living organism, a hybrid designed for maximum efficiency in killing. Ethan's gaze never wavered. He understood that brute force alone would not win this fight. Survival depended on perception, speed, strategy, and the will to never yield. The colossal creature charged first, its steps shaking the arena floor. Dust and debris lifted in swirling clouds as it moved. Ethan dodged expertly, leaping over its massive claws, and used the terrain to his advantage, leading it into a series of collapsing platforms. The creature roared, a sound that echoed across the galaxy, but the human was already in motion, striking at weak joints with precision and timing that seemed almost superhuman. The psychic being unleashed a wave of energy that warped reality around him. Walls shifted, shadows turned into threats, and phantom figures lunged as if alive. Ethan's mind raced. He closed his eyes for an instant, sensing the true flow of reality beneath the illusions. When he opened them, he struck, using timing and momentum to disrupt the psychic assault. The creature staggered, unprepared for a mind capable of reading its rhythm and intent. The hybrid machine creature moved with terrifying speed, analyzing every attack, every movement, and adapting. But Ethan had already learned to anticipate. He turned its own momentum against it, redirecting a forceful strike into a molten pit, disabling its core systems. Sparks and smoke filled the air as the hybrid collapsed. The arena erupted into chaos. Spectators roared, some in awe, some in fear. Aliens who had faced death countless times were stunned by what a human was capable of. Ethan, breathing steadily, scanned the battlefield. Every challenge, every trap, every opponent was an extension of the arena itself, and he was the one now controlling it. But the ultimate challenge was more than physical. The champions tested him mentally, attacking his perception, tried to exploit hesitation, fear, or fatigue. The psychic being projected memories and illusions, attempting to destabilize him emotionally. He saw visions of failure, doubt, and loss, phantoms of the countless humans who had fallen in battles across the stars. Ethan's mind remained unshaken. He understood that survival in this arena required not just skill, but resilience of the spirit. Every illusion, every mind trick, he analyzed and neutralized. He allowed himself only one focus: victory. The colossal creature roared again, swinging its massive tail, creating shockwaves that threatened to knock him off balance. Ethan leaped, spun in midair, and landed behind the beast. With calculated precision, he struck vulnerable joints, using leverage and momentum to destabilize it. The creature staggered, clearly surprised by the human's tactical genius. The psychic champion launched another wave, but Ethan countered with timing, agility, and intuition. Each move he made disrupted the attack, leaving the creature disoriented. The hybrid machine, attempting a synchronized assault, miscalculated due to Ethan's unpredictable movements and collapsed into a trap he had baited. For a moment, the arena held its breath. The ultimate champions, feared across galaxies, were faltering. A human had not only survived, they were being outsmarted, outmaneuvered, and overwhelmed. Ethan realized something profound. This fight was not just a test of strength or skill. It was a trial of creativity, of human adaptability. Where others relied on brute force or program strategy, he relied on imagination, intuition, and relentless determination. As the colossal creature rose again, Ethan's mind worked at 100 calculations per second. He observed its patterns, anticipating its next strike. With a single, fluid motion, he executed a combination of leverage, precision, and environment manipulation, knocking the creature into a collapsing structure. Debris rained down, and the once mighty champion lay incapacitated. The psychic champion, sensing the shift, attempted one final mind assault. Ethan's eyes glinted with determination. He closed his focus, letting instinct and intellect merge. The illusions failed. The psychic being staggered, unable to control a mind that moved faster than thought. With a swift, precise strike, Ethan neutralized the threat. Finally, the hybrid machine, adaptive and deadly, lunged one last time. But it was too late. Ethan anticipated every motion, every attack, and countered with lethal efficiency. Sparks flew, metal twisted, and the hybrid collapsed, systems failing irreversibly. The arena went silent, then erupted. Alien spectators roared, some in disbelief, some in awe. Humans watching from distant worlds whispered, wide-eyed, This is beyond what we imagined. A single human has defeated the champions of the galaxy. Ethan stood, chest heaving, bloodied, but unbroken. His body bore the scars of combat, but his eyes burned with a fire that could not be extinguished. He had proven that humans were not fragile, not weak, not insignificant. They were survivors, warriors, and innovators, the apex of adaptability and courage. The arena itself seemed to acknowledge him. Traps deactivated, mechanisms stilled, and a hushed respect echoed through the stands. Ethan had not only survived, he had rewritten the rules of the arena. And deep within, he knew the final challenge still awaited. The ultimate test that would push human ingenuity and courage to their absolute limits. But for now, the universe had witnessed the miracle of a human, and legends were born that day. Ethan's gaze swept across the battlefield. Every scar, every destroyed champion, every trap overcome was proof. Human will, intelligence, and determination could conquer even the deadliest of arenas. And soon, the rest of the galaxy would understand. Humans were not to be underestimated. The arena had grown silent, a tense hush settling over the massive stands. Spectators from countless worlds leaned forward, their eyes fixed on the lone human who had already defied every expectation. Ethan Cross had survived wave after wave of deadly opponents, outsmarted elite champions, and revealed glimpses of human ingenuity that no one thought possible. But the arena had one final challenge, one designed not just to test strength, skill, or strategy, but the human mind itself. As he stepped forward, the ground trembled beneath him. Massive stone doors slid open slowly, revealing a corridor shrouded in darkness. The walls were covered with intricate carvings, alien symbols that seemed to shift when looked at from different angles. The floor was littered with faintly glowing patterns that pulsed with dangerous energy. Traps, mechanical, chemical, and psychic, lay hidden within every shadow. Ethan's senses sharpened. Every footstep was deliberate, every movement calculated. He could feel the arena testing him, probing his instincts, his courage, and his will to survive. From the shadows, he heard the faintest whisper, a psychic echo from the last champion he had defeated. This human, he is not like the others. The voice attempted to unsettle him, playing on fear, doubt, and fatigue. Most beings would have faltered. Ethan closed his eyes for a moment, centering himself. The whispering stopped, the shadows held their positions, and he pressed forward, undeterred. The corridor shifted suddenly. Sections of the floor fell away into molten pits. Walls moved, closing narrow passages. The arena itself had become a labyrinth designed to break him, to force him into mistakes. He leaped across a collapsing platform, barely catching a ledge as molten metal hissed below. Sparks flew, smoke choked the air, and the heat singed his skin. Yet his focus never wavered. He anticipated the movements, calculated the timing, and adjusted instinctively. Then came the traps hidden in the walls. Energy projectiles shot out without warning, and razor-sharp spikes emerged from the floor. Ethan ducked, rolled, and used fragments of the shattered corridor to deflect one lethal strike, sending it back toward a mechanical trap. The trap exploded, sparks and debris scattering. Hours, or what felt like hours, passed in a blur of near misses, split-second decisions, and adrenaline-fueled maneuvers. Ethan's body ached, his muscles screamed, but he pressed on. He knew that hesitation, even for a moment, would be fatal. The arena tested not just his agility, but his intellect. Complex puzzles appeared, requiring instant problem-solving under extreme pressure. Panels of shifting stone, sequences of symbols, and hidden levers demanded perfect timing. A single mistake would trigger the spikes, pits, or energy traps waiting just beyond. Ethan's mind worked faster than ever. He analyzed the patterns, calculated risks, and executed solutions flawlessly. One wrong step, one misjudged motion, and death awaited, but he never faltered. Every success gave him momentum. Every calculated risk reinforced his confidence. Suddenly, the final challenge revealed itself. A massive chamber, walls towering and shifting, filled with a labyrinth of traps, illusions, and automated guardians. The air buzzed with energy, a palpable force that threatened to overwhelm even the strongest warriors. From above, mechanical drones swooped down, firing volleys of energy. From the shadows, hidden warriors emerged, each faster, stronger, and more lethal than any opponent he had faced. Psychic waves distorted reality, creating phantoms of past adversaries, designed to instill fear and hesitation. Ethan smiled grimly. This was the moment he had prepared for. This was the ultimate test. He moved with precision, weaving through attacks, disarming traps, and turning every illusion into an advantage. The drones crashed into walls he had destabilized moments before. The hidden warriors fell into pits he had predicted. The psychic waves bounced harmlessly off his focus, his mind sharper than ever. The arena had thrown everything at him, and yet he pressed on. Sweat, blood, and exhaustion threatened to slow him, but the human will refuse to yield. Every step, every strike, Every maneuver became a symphony of survival, a testament to human resilience, courage, and ingenuity. Finally, after navigating the labyrinth, surviving the mechanical and psychic onslaught, and outmaneuvering every trap, Ethan reached the chamber's center. Here, he found a pedestal, glowing with an ancient energy, the core of the arena's ultimate challenge. Legends said that any being who touched it would either be granted unparalleled power or destroyed instantly. Ethan approached carefully. He could feel the energy probing his mind, testing him, weighing his resolve. One miscalculation, one faltering thought, and it would all end here. But Ethan's resolve was absolute. He had survived impossible odds, outsmarted champions, and conquered death itself in the arena. With a deep breath, he placed his hands on the pedestal. A surge of energy coursed through him, painful, overwhelming, and exhilarating all at once. His vision blurred, his muscles tensed, and the air around him crackled with power. But he did not falter. The arena trembled, the walls shaking as energy radiated outward. The spectators gasped, even the alien champions watching from the shadows. A human was channeling the core energy of the arena and controlling it. Ethan's eyes glowed faintly, his body radiating a force that made the champions stumble back. The labyrinth, the traps, the illusions, they all fell away before him. In that moment, he was not just surviving, he was transcending. Humanity's hidden potential, its ingenuity, courage, and adaptability was now fully unleashed. The ultimate trial had begun, and Ethan Cross, the human miracle, stood ready to face whatever the arena could throw at him. The arena shuddered beneath Ethan's feet. Energy crackled in the air, illuminating the massive walls with a pulsating glow. Every eye in the stands was locked on him, alien and human alike. The spectators could hardly comprehend what they were witnessing. A single human, battered, bloodied, and exhausted, now wielding the very core energy of the arena itself. The champions who had once towered over him, defeated or incapacitated in the prior battles, now watched with a mix of awe and fear. Even they, seasoned warriors who had conquered worlds, could sense that the rules of this fight had changed. Humanity, so underestimated, so dismissed, had revealed a power no one had predicted. Ethan felt the energy coursing through him, harmonizing with his instincts, intellect, and physical prowess. It amplified every thought, every reflex, every calculation. He was no longer simply reacting. He was anticipating, controlling, and dominating. Every pulse of the arena, every shift in the ground, every movement of the remaining adversaries was now part of his battlefield. A deep rumble echoed through the arena as the final challenge emerged. From the shadows of the Colosseum, the ultimate boss appeared, a being that combined the strength of the colossal champions, the cunning of the multi-limbed predators, and the psychic dominance of the mental manipulators. Its form was alien and terrifying, armored plates shifting organically, eyes glowing with intelligence that had destroyed entire civilizations, limbs moving faster than perception. It spoke, its voice resonating in a way that shook the arena walls. Human, your arrogance blinds you. No being has ever harnessed the core energy. You will fail. Ethan's response was silent. Words were meaningless. This was the moment for action. The final battle erupted with cataclysmic force. Energy blasts tore through the arena. Pillars collapsed, molten pits bubbled and hissed, and the very air seemed to vibrate with raw power. Ethan moved with precision, each motion calculated yet fluid, avoiding attacks, exploiting weaknesses, and countering with devastating force. The alien boss struck with unimaginable speed, a whirlwind of claws, energy, and psychic waves. Ethan dodged, twisted, and countered, each strike breaking the rhythm of his opponent. He used the environment to his advantage. Collapsing walls, molten pools, and broken platforms became extensions of his body. Every movement was a calculated fusion of human ingenuity and raw willpower. Spectators gasped. Aliens who had faced galactic empires and annihilated civilizations now watched in disbelief as a human dominated the deadliest entity in the arena. Murmurs turned to roars. The human, he is a miracle. The boss unleashed a psychic wave designed to crush mind and body simultaneously. Ethan felt the pressure, the distortion of reality, and the pull of fear. But he centered himself, focusing on the rhythm of the arena, the flow of energy, and the patterns of his opponent. With a surge of power, he countered, redirecting the psychic assault and sending it crashing back toward the alien, stunning it. He seized the moment. With unmatched precision, he struck at weak points, disabling its energy channels and destabilizing its armor. Sparks, metal, and energy erupted in a cacophony of destruction. The boss staggered, its overwhelming confidence shaken for the first time. Ethan didn't hesitate. Channeling the core energy fully, he unleashed a devastating combination of speed, power, and intellect. The arena itself seemed to bend to his will. The ground shifted, traps triggered perfectly, and energy pulses aligned with his strikes. The alien could not adapt fast enough. With a final, earth-shattering blow, Ethan toppled the ultimate champion. The arena trembled violently as the energy cascaded outward, stabilizing only as it acknowledged the victor. Silence fell over the stands for a heartbeat, then erupted into a deafening roar. Aliens, humans, and all spectators alike cheered, gasping in disbelief, awe, and exhilaration. Ethan stood at the center, chest heaving, body battered, yet unbroken. He had not just survived, he had triumphed. He had proven that humans, underestimated for millennia, were capable of brilliance, courage, and power beyond imagination. Every movement, every calculation, every decision had led to this moment. The arena itself seemed to bow in acknowledgement. Traps deactivated, energy dissipated, and the walls settled. The once impossible labyrinth had been conquered, the ultimate champions defeated, and the human miracle revealed. Ethan looked out over the crowd. Cheers, gasps, and stunned silence mixed into a symphony of amazement. Aliens whispered among themselves, "This human, he is beyond comprehension. A single being of a primitive species has rewritten the rules of survival and power." He didn't celebrate. For Ethan, this was a statement. Humanity was no longer to be dismissed or underestimated. Their ingenuity, resilience, and courage could rival the mightiest civilizations in the universe. And if the arena could be conquered, so could the challenges beyond it. As the energy of the arena settled, Ethan walked forward, his figure illuminated by the fading glow of the core energy. Each step was a declaration. The human race, once underestimated, now held its place among the galaxy's greatest forces. The legend of Ethan Cross, the human miracle, was born that day. Stories would be told across worlds, whispers carried from galaxy to galaxy. The universe had witnessed a force that could not be ignored. Humanity had proven that true power was not only in size or strength, but in courage, intellect, and the indomitable will to survive against impossible odds. And as the gates of the arena closed behind him, Ethan knew that this victory was only the beginning. The galaxy would never forget the day a single human entered the arena and emerged not just alive, but triumphant,